Big Pharma is not always well appreciated, but I will say I do value the work that we do. I do think it's really impactful that I have a direct hand in a lot of therapies that people ultimately take. My name is Alita Miller, I'm 25 years old, and I'm a formulation scientist. A formulation scientist mixes a bunch of different ingredients in order to make some kind of product. This can be in cosmetics or paint industries or a lot of different things, but I'm in the pharmaceutical industry. My job is to kind of make the recipe and the composition for tablets and pills and turn it into a drug that someone can take. I like to say it's kind of like baking, when you're mixing your sugar, your baking powder, stuff like that, and then turning it into what kind of cookie you want. I have a bachelor's and master's degree in biomedical engineering. I use some of it, I would say, but not all of it. My education is more around being an engineer than a scientist. So the difference there, I would say, is an engineer really solves problems, but a scientist kind of thinks of what questions to ask in the first place. I think really the most beneficial part for me was just working in a research lab while I was in college. Growing up, I really liked math and science. I always wanted to be a doctor, but I didn't really understand what it meant to be a research scientist. One of the biggest differences between kind of being a doctor and a scientist is that a doctor has to go through a lot more schooling, and I did not want to do that. And once they kind of get their degree in their field, then they are using already established treatments in order to help patients. But as scientist, on my end, I'm more focused on trying to generate new ideas and new treatments and new ways to help. So I thought that was really cool that I have a little bit more flexibility in what I want to do as a scientist than I would if I chose the doctor route. Thinking back, if I were to know what a research scientist was as a kid, then I definitely would have chosen that. Right now I make about $100,000 a year with my base salary and bonuses, and I definitely think it's sustainable for the future. I think there is a lot of room to grow and get promoted within the company. So if I ever were to start a family and have more financial responsibilities, it definitely would be doable. We work a pretty flexible 8 to 5, 9 to 5. It's really just communicating with my manager of when I need to, be on site, when I want to stay home, kind of unlimited sick days. It's really flexible as long as, we get our jobs done. In order to make it therapeutic or a drug for people to take, it has to be discovered first. And so the chemists are really kind of in the lab synthesizing different molecules to make a drug, and that's what we call the drug substance. And then it'll go to my team, and my team as formulation scientists, we're the first ones to take that drug substance and put it into some kind of product that can then be delivered to patients. Early in the process, we just kind of compress it into a tablet in order to get it into humans and ensure that it's both safe and effective. But then later down, whenever we identify a drug that is safe and efficacious, then we get to have some fun with the formulation. So I get to pick, how it tastes, what color it is, what size it is, and things of that nature. And then we work with the regulatory agencies to make sure that we have all the appropriate documentation throughout our experiments, and we put it on the market. Communication and teamwork is really important. So I am the formulation scientist, but I have a lot of interactions with the analytical scientists, the regulatory groups, the quality groups. It's a very collaborative field, so I think collaboration and teamwork is a pretty important skill to have. But then the skills that I've learned in my job as a scientist can really kind of take me anywhere. It's taught me how to be an analytical thinker and really make sure I understand different aspects of my work. I really like what we do. I really like being able to go into lab, mix different things and use my hands, and then I like to analyze the data and make sure we're understanding what outputs we're getting from the inputs that we put into the experiments. I just really enjoy that part of it. And I think within my company we have a really positive work environment, and we're all kind of young adults and really supportive of each other and have a lot of fun. Definitely always ask people questions. In order to be a good scientist, you have to really know how to ask questions. Get to know people, get to know what they do. Don't be afraid to ask to shadow people in different roles if you're interested in it. Once you get to high school and throughout college, keep just pushing through your classes. Make sure you can get a degree, and then that will definitely help you get into the scientific field. Once you're in college though, definitely try to get into a research lab. If you're even remotely interested in being a scientist, having experience in a research lab is super important. And if you can't get into a research lab, try to get into an internship over the summer to gain some experience. So it's a lot easier to get a job right after school whenever you have some sort of experience already. I am proud of the fact that I make tablets that go directly into patients. There's a lot of bad diseases out there, and there's not always a therapy or a cure, but I get to try really hard. Once a kind of molecule is discovered, I get to try really hard to make sure that that molecule can be delivered to the patient to then help their disease diminish. I would say it sucks sometimes to work in the pharmaceutical industry just because I know that it's not always well regarded. But I do really like what I do, and I do think that I will have a great impact on patients' lives someday, so that's good.